I bought another tool. I had another depression-induced shopping spree. And I got this Milwaukee cutoff tool. Isn't that adorable? Oh, you're such a good little mutilation machine. I love you. The thing I like about this compared to this one is it has a reverse. So if I want to send the sparks forward into a coworker, I just push the button and it. I also finally bought the angle die grinder. Look at that. Look how nicely that cleans up the metal. I'm going to go down to Harbor Freight and I'm going to get some of these. So this is something that they should have mentioned in the class but didn't. On this sheet metal brake, that piece comes off. This extra piece here. So all that trouble I was having making 1-inch bends, because this is 1.5 inches or 2 inches wide, if I had known that, I could have taken this off and I wouldn't have had to do any hammer work. Live and learn. These magnets are worthless for this situation. Go. Okay. I'm not really happy with the sound of that welding. Okay, so the idea now is I'll cut through both pieces of metal and then I'll push it into the crack and join it there. That's the way Mike looked like he was doing it. So, and I saw the guy on J-Bugs do it that way as well. So I'll cut from the inside using my new cutting tools, because I can see on the inside where the gap is right now. Yep, and so that will just pop right in there like that. Doesn't look, I mean, it looks really awful, but it doesn't look like I can't fix it. I wonder what it looks like on the inside. I can't believe they're only using 22 gauge steel for these pieces, and that's what they're attaching the shock tower to. All right, enough for tonight. Not unhappy, learning experience. I think it definitely worked better if I actually had the pieces right next to each other. I think I still would get good penetration. Maybe with a thicker steel. Maybe I'll practice with the 16 gauge and see if with a gap it works better. But I'm getting there. I am getting there. So a funny thing happened to me yesterday when I was welding. I was getting really crappy welds. I didn't like the sound of it, but I thought it was because I hadn't adjusted the welding machine to the thinner sheet metal. I thought it was just bad technique. And I thought the sound was because I'm currently deaf in my right ear because I have a sinus infection I've been fighting all week. And so everything sounds strange to me. Turned out I didn't have any gas. Now every time I start to weld, I check the bubble to make sure it's correct. And I checked it yesterday. But what happened was this. Under normal circumstances, when I squeeze the trigger, the bubble jumps to where I have it currently set. What happened, and I check every time I'm about to weld, I look over at the bubble and I squeeze the trigger and I check that the bubble goes up where it's supposed to. And that's what I did before I started welding yesterday. The trouble is, the valve was off. Excuse me. The pressure was the amount of pressure left just in the left in the regulator and the hose up to the point of the welder. So the more I welded, the more the ball started to drop until it dropped completely out. So there was nothing really that I could do other than remove the piece that I had welded in yesterday. Without the gas, the welds are just so contaminated and so bad, worse than usual. There's really just no point in keeping it. But no big deal. Like I said yesterday when I was welding it, it's just metal. Metal is a lot better than wood in this respect. You can always just add metal back through welding. It's just sort of strange, when you think about it, metal seems so permanent. Just like that. All right, if there's one thing my misadventure taught me is that you can never have too much practice in welding. So I've seen on the internet guys do the thing where they cut out the piece of metal while it's sort of tacked on to where they're going to weld it, and they weld in the slot. When I tried that yesterday, it did not work. But that was probably because I didn't have the gas on and I had the wrong settings. So I am going to try, because I also wonder what size wire should I be using. Right now I've got the .025 in, and I'm welding 22 gauge. I am going to turn my gas on. Get my nozzle gel ready. Burns right through. Let's turn it up a little. 163. Burns right through. So the lowest I can go is 113 feet per minute, 12.7 at the lowest level. looks really good. Fills it perfectly. And it's even allowing me to close the holes. And tomorrow I'll go buy another. I'll go buy another piece of 22 gauge. Here we go. Time to put this piece in. All right, if I can get that to stay right there. There. All right, just need it to stay in place for a second. Right. Now I go inside and I'll cut this. And I'll do some tacking over on that side from the inside. Keep having the metal popping a little bit and sticking out some. So this gap is a little bit wide. So fortunately when I practiced I found out that you can weld across the gap by starting on one side. All right, I'll just keep doing a few more spot welds here. And I'll get a grinder and I'll grind it down and brush it and keep working it till it closes. don't know how this happened, except, you know, maybe when I'm looking back into the wheel well from the outside, I really can only see with one eye. And so my depth perception must have been off. But I could have sworn when I measured this that I had this piece of metal sitting flat down on that piece. And I guess it's close to the right height, it's just too far out now. And I tried to cut this piece so that it would line up exactly with that piece. So instead of being done today, like I thought it was gonna be, now I gotta figure out what I wanna do here. You know, obviously I'm gonna have to weld in another piece. I just need to decide, do I wanna cut this off and make a piece that goes all the way around? Yeah, I need to think about this, exactly what I wanna do here. But I'm done with this big piece, so another big rust hole closed off. I just got to fix that mistake, and then it's time to move on.